Welcome to Fantasy Football Today. Welcome to Week 15. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Playoffs. I'm Heath Cummings. He's Dave Richard. Dave, are you ready to win some people Week 15?
I am ready for nobody to experience a Week 15 Cooper Cup. We need to will that out of our lineups. We need targets, we need touches, we need touchdowns, we need other words that start with T. We need to have some big numbers for our teams, and we need to help you with your questions when you ask them in the chat. Heath, make sure you pick good questions. Unlike
I'm going to pick lots.
That other dude that hosts who picks bad questions, don't do what he does.
Azer is doing exactly what he should be right now, hopefully suffering through multiple children's dances that he's never even seen before or will see again. Jamie is going to join us about halfway through the show, a little bit after noon today, and it will actually be afternoon because it will be afternoon. Dave and I are going to break down the big news. Then we're going to answer so many of your lineup questions. We're going to set all your lineups for you. They're going to be the right decisions. They're going to be the winning decisions. I can't wait, Dave. I think the first thing we have to talk about, and there's some injury stuff for sure, but the weather in Cleveland. I want to get your forecast. I just want to say, as a note beforehand, this game had an over-under of 46 at the beginning of the week, an over-under of 44 last night, an over of 42 when I woke up this morning, and now it's at 41. So are the temperatures falling? Are the winds falling? Because the over-under definitely falling.
The wind is definitely not falling. Falling? Yeah, falling. That's what you said. Yeah. Sustained winds of at least 15 miles an hour throughout the afternoon in suburban Cleveland. May I remind you that Cleveland Browns Stadium is right on the lake. So you're going to have stronger breezes than that actually in the stadium. And according to Kevin Roth, who does an outstanding job kind of looking at forecasts and parsing what it means for fantasy, he thinks the wind gust could get around 30 miles an hour. I think this is a problem for the kickers in the game, for the quarterbacks in the game, for the receivers in the game. And, you know that I was excited about Jameis earlier this week, Heath. I am no longer excited about Jameis Winston. He is now like a definitive number 2 fantasy quarterback, and so is Mahomes. I think we could actually see some good running in this game after all. And Pacheco moved up a little bit for me. I can't say the same for Nick Chubb, but at this point, I'm expecting low scoring, boring, maybe some good DST play, but between the wind and maybe some possible rain, I know they had rain earlier this morning, not the type of conditions for a high-scoring shootout back and forth between the Chiefs and the Browns.
So I was very high on Jameis and Mahomes. They're both outside of my top 12 now. I would start Aaron Rodgers over both of them. And so that kind of tells you where I'm at on those two guys. I think what's difficult, because we're still going to start Travis Kelce. I think we're still going to start Jerry Jeudy without really thinking about it. He's been too good. There's still no Cedric Tillman. There's no David Njoku. As number 3 wide receivers, I think DeAndre Hopkins and Elijah Moore are the two really because they don't necessarily do a lot of stuff downfield anyway.
Right.
They're number 3 wide receivers. Hopefully you have better options, right?
That's basically what it comes down to for me. I wouldn't want to start those guys and expect big things from them. And probably one of the things I need to do between now and 1 o'clock is actually reflect that in my rankings.
Somebody tell me if these injury designations that have been speculative and are now becoming official are correct, but Bucky Irving is expected to be active for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. We had Rachaad White without Bucky Irving as a must-start, no doubt about it, RB1. Yeah. Now with Bucky Irving, maybe, again, this is a 4:30 game. We've also got Ladd McConkey news in this game. So just talk Tampa Bay and Los Angeles and how you're handling White, Bucky, and McConkey.
So let's get the easy one out of the way. It's McConkey. He practiced this week. There's optimism. He plays. Obviously, if you've got him on your fantasy team, you want to make sure you have an emergency replacement. Josh Palmer would make the most sense. And then if McConkey's active, you start him. If he's not active, you start Josh Palmer. You might even be able to get away with not adding Josh Palmer yet if you've got a player on your bench that plays in the 4 o'clock games or Sunday night or Monday night. Remember, there's 2 Monday night games. You could drop them. Right? Check your league rules to make sure you could actually do this. Talk to your commissioner first. You could drop them before the 4 o'clock games start and pick up Josh Palmer, and hopefully you can just start him in place of McConkey as an emergency replacement. So you don't necessarily have to add him, but it is an option for you. And if you can't get your hands on Josh Palmer, there's other low-end guys. One name like Trey Tucker on Monday night would be a good emergency replacement. Maybe Romo Dunze is on your waiver wire. Maybe he's on your bench. That would be somebody who would be a decent emergency replacement for Ladd McConkey. But when McConkey's played, he's picked up tons of targets. He should be good to go. I'm going to rank him as probably more of a high-end number 3 wide receiver than the top 15 guy that he normally is because of all their injuries that he's taking on. The running backs, Tampa. I don't know what to expect from Bucky Irving. I'm kind of hoping to hear something before the game from friends of mine, but we will stay posted on that. For now, I would expect Rachaad White to still see the lion's share. I can't imagine the Bucs are going to put Bucky Irving out there and let him roll after what happened last week. He's clearly dealing with something. He only got in 1 day of practice, and this isn't a great matchup to begin with. Chargers have been mostly good against running backs lately. I know Derrick Henry had a big game against them, but Bijan Robinson, Chase Brown. There's one other guy I can't remember right now, but you can find it in my tweets. They all averaged 3.9 yards per carry against the Chargers, and that's all within the last month. Isaiah Pacheco, not even 4 yards per carry, and they're great against running backs through the air. So I'm nervous about these running backs anyway. It would be a lot different if there was no Bucky Irving and it's all Rachaad White. I would start him, no problem.
So I think it's worth comparing them. Was we just got the news Breece Hall is active. Another guy who's missed last week with injury, was not very good the week before, but Hall's going to play. So I've got Hall, then Bucky, then White right now, expecting that Bucky will play. And I agree with you. I don't think Bucky gets unleashed, but in terms of what they have been in terms of efficiency, if it's a 50-50 split, you would rather start Bucky Irving because he's just been so much better with the ball in his hand than Rachaad White has been.
I don't know if that's going to be the case, though. That's part of the problem.
Well, no, but it might be 75-25 Bucky. It might be 75-25 White. It's just
all the more reason why I would want to stay away from these guys if you can help it.
So you would start Ramondre Stevenson over them?
Unfortunately, yes.
I'm not there yet, but where are you at on Breece Hall? Because I think there's a lot of risk with him as well. He had a 3% target share in their last game. Both Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis had more work in the passing game. I'm ranking Breece Hall as a low-end RB2, not a top 20 guy.
No, I'm with you all the way on that. I think that's the safe play to go with Breece Hall. Did a little research on him this morning. At least 12 touches in 2 of his past 3 games. Actually, he's had at least 12 touches in each of his past 3 games, but not more than 15 in them. If we give him 14 touches in this matchup, I think he can come through. It's Jacksonville. They're terrible against the run. 9 of 12 running backs this year with at least 14 touches has had at least 14 PPR points. That includes 1 running back in each of its past 3 games. So I think that there's still some good upside for Breece Hall, but I don't want to push him up into like that top 20, top 15 range. Isaiah Davis is on the bench. Braylon Allen is a desperation RB play.
Last thing at the tight end position, Evan Ingram, he's gone. Will Dissly, he's gone. David Njoku, he's gone. So there's
nobody left.
Of those 3 replacements, I think they're all interesting. Stone Smart for the Chargers. Justin Herbert's had a 22% target share to his tight end so far this season, and Tampa Bay has been just about the best matchup for tight ends this season. Especially here recently, they've been getting crushed by no-name tight ends. Okay. Jordan Akins, that Kevin Stefanski system's always been 20+% of the targets. And if it's windy, we'll probably see more short area targets, which in the Cleveland offense generally go to tight ends. And then Brenton Strange, we saw him perform as a borderline tight end one without Evan Ingram. If I just woke up this morning, Dave, I've got a playoff matchup, and oh no, I don't have a tight end. Which one of those 3 are you going after?
Do I have to pick one of those 3, or could I just tell you to get Juwan Johnson?
I would rather start all 3 than Juwan Johnson.
I would rather start Juwan Johnson than all 3 of them because I think Juwan Johnson, who's catching the ball in New Orleans? Jake Haener is not a great NFL quarterback.
I guess not many people are catching the ball.
I think he's going to be better than Spencer Rattler, Heath, and I think that he could end up getting a touchdown, decent target volume. The other tight ends, so much uncertain. When Greg Roman talked about Stone Smart this week and how much he helped last week, he mentioned his blocking. And you'd expect that from a guy named Stone. I don't want to trust him if I can help it. Brenton Strange would probably be the one of those 3 that I would gravitate toward, but it's not with a ton of confidence. In fact, I don't think I'm even that confident in Juwan Johnson. These are all touchdown or bust tight ends for me. Give me the one that's playing on a team that's going to be trailing, adequate quarterback, and I don't mean adequate in a good way, and someone who might be able to score a touchdown and get good target volume.
Jake Haener has thrown 29 passes so far this season. 5 of them have gone to tight ends.
That's great.
3 for 37. So,
well, now he's going to play a full game, and we'll see.
3 for 37 is a great expectation for Juwan Johnson today, and maybe those other guys as well. That's enough of the injury news. We'll come back to it when we have more, but let's get to some of your questions. We're not quite going rapid fire already, Dave, but we've got pick 3, DK, Marvin Harrison, J-Mo, or Darnell Mooney. So you have to sit one of those guys.
I'm sitting DK Metcalf. I don't like what I've seen from him on film the last couple of weeks. His straight line speed is still okay, but he's not moving well when he has to actually change directions. Geno has missed him on a bunch of throws. Geno is pressured frequently. And when Geno is pressured, he's not chucking it downfield to DK unless DK is wide open. It's going to JSN. It's going to Zach Charbonnet. I actually don't like DK Metcalf very much at all. A low-end number 3 fantasy receiver ranked behind the other ones here for Mr. Mack.
And I would sit Marvin Harrison Jr. The only reason you could feel good about starting him is that every other week he scored a touchdown, and it's due for him to score a touchdown. But all the bad things that you might say about DK Metcalf, Marvin Harrison hasn't turned much all year. So I'm just not excited about starting him, but these are all top 36 guys for me. So that doesn't bother me that much. One I didn't mention, Tony Pollard is active. There was a little bit of question about him, I guess, but he's playing. So you have to choose 2, Tony Pollard, Chuba Hubbard, Chase Brown. Talk about an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, that's really good, but Pollard's going to be the odd man out there.
Yep.
Brown, to me, just awesome situation against the Titans. And as long as he doesn't run straight up the A gaps, he's going to have himself a very good game. Plus, he'll catch the ball a little bit. I think the Bengals will put up some points. And Chuba Hubbard's the main guy in Carolina's backfield. I'm not even sure who they're going to have. Is it going to be Mike Boone as their number 2 running back today? He's not going to play very much. Chuba Hubbard in line for 20-plus touches.
Easy.
Against Dallas, no less. I think that he's in line for a very, very good game.
So we have downgraded Patrick Mahomes, but early in the week, I know we were not high on Jordan Love. So would you rather, and I believe that game is not really a weather concern, but is supposed to have some rain because it's in Seattle, and don't they always? Mahomes or Jordan Love?
I believe I have Love over Mahomes, and I'm going to stick with it. We should probably see what Kevin Roth said about the weather in Seattle. I'm looking now, and he's not really that worried. Some light rain is possible. Winds stay light, no major impacts. That's cool. I don't want to start either of these guys if I can help it. Would rather go with Kyler Murray. Would rather go with Bo Nix. Even Anthony Richardson, I'd start ahead of both Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes. But if I've got to pick one, it's going to be Jordan Love.
That Denver game's another one where the line has crashed a little bit. I am not on board with the potentially starting Anthony Richardson this week, because I know Jamie's mentioned that a couple times as well. I think I'm just an outlier there. Definitely scared of the pass catchers. I don't think that one game we saw where the Broncos faced Jameis Winston and gave up 400 passing yards is indicative of what they are without their second corner.
I agree. And there's wind in that game as well. And so that certainly makes me nervous. But if it's going to be really windy and it's going to be really hard to throw, then if you're in Indianapolis, you want to have that option of using your quarterback's legs. And maybe that does help Anthony Richardson a little bit. I think it provides a safe floor for Richardson. I'm with you, not a top 12 guy. But if you've got Richardson or one of the quarterbacks in that Browns-Chiefs game, I'm taking Richardson. I think that he's probably got a chance to be about as good, if not a little bit better.
This is a very good one. I like this one a lot. I love it when I have to look at my rankings or projections to see who I'd rather start. Ridley, Reed, or Pacheco?
Woo! I think I'm going to land on Ridley there, just because the Cincinnati defense is terrible. I know Will Levis has been terrible. I don't want to trust Calvin Ridley, but how do you trust Reed? How do you trust Pacheco? The fact that it's PPR, that certainly helps Calvin Ridley. That's who I'm going with. Okay,
so Nick is in a pickle after Thursday Night Football. I tell you what, if you had to start Cooper Kupp, you wanted to do it like Dave did in our YOLO league where he had a bye, and so it didn't hurt him. Need upside in the super flex after Thursday Night Football. Start 2: Jalen Hurts, Jameis Winston, Will Levis. So
I got to check my rankings.
There have been some people that have been low on Jalen Hurts over the last 10 days. Nobody's this low on Jalen Hurts. This is a Will Levis or Jameis Winston question. And I understand the weather. I also could see this being one of those games where Jameis in the wind and the rain throws for 300 yards and 3 interceptions. So I would still go with Jameis. What about you, Dave?
I agree with you. Levis makes me nervous. The matchup is great for Levis, but I don't know if he's got the same type of upside. And he's got a run game that he could work with. Tony Pollard could have a good game against Cincinnati. No Sheldon Rankins for the Browns, and we know that Logan Wilson's on IR. His season's over. So that run defense for the Bengals that played on Monday, by the way, I think that they're in prime position to have Tony Pollard get some numbers against them. I wonder what his player prop numbers are. I think Tony Pollard overs are certainly in play. And that makes me hesitate a little bit on Will Levis.
We've got Darnell Mooney, Jacoby Myers, or CeeDee Lamb, Dave.
What's the format? Do we know the format?
We don't.
Okay.
It doesn't matter for me. I'm playing Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I am going to take Lamb over Myers. I don't love Desmond Ridder. I think Ritter's a little bit different than O'Connell and not in a good way. I see Myers as a number 2 fantasy receiver, and I think CeeDee Lamb will get more targets and have a chance to score in that matchup against Carolina.
And then Warren, McCormick, or Bucky.
I don't want to go with Bucky.
It's
Do
Bucky.
you?
It's Bucky. This is definitely can we do the here's Bucky thing? Like it's just a terrifying fantasy playoffs. You got this guy that could score 25 fantasy points, and he might leave after 4 plays like he did last week.
I think all 3 of these guys. I think Bucky has the most upside of the 3. There's no question he's got the most downside. I would argue in full PPR, Warren is the safer play. I think.
I don't know how you're feeling about this game. I kind of feel like the Eagles are just going to completely shut down Pittsburgh's offense.
That's funny. I think Pittsburgh might shut down Philadelphia's offense.
Yeah, you do really have a thing going for Jalen Hurts right now. Sit 1 in PPR: Cortland Sutton, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson Jr. The start of the week, or Rico Dowdle.
I think Dowdle's going to end up being the odd man out. I can double check my rankings to be sure, or it could be Brian Robinson actually, because it's PPR, and I don't expect Robinson to catch a lot of passes. I do expect him to score at least 1 touchdown, but I could say the same thing of Dowdle. Yeah, I'm looking at my rankings. Brian Robinson, don't tell Jamie this, okay? Because this is his start of the week. This is his baby this week, and I like Brian Robinson this week, but I will take him last of this group.
Got to catch up on the comments. Man, I scrolled too far back and I was way behind. So here's a good one to talk about, I think, because I'm maybe the high guy on Elijah Moore and the low guy on Josh Downs. So, Dave, I'll ask you, and then I'll give my reasoning. Elijah Moore or Josh Downs?
I'll go with Downs. I'll go with Downs against Denver. Slot area target, short area target. That might actually be beneficial for Anthony Richardson in a game if it's windy. And if they're trailing, I could certainly see Josh Downs seeing a nice target share in his first game back. That's really the long and the short of it. I don't like trusting Elijah Moore. And if they're both going to be in windy games with inefficient quarterbacks.
Wait a minute.
What?
Jameis Winston is not in any stretch of the imagination an inefficient quarterback when it comes to a wide receiver. He is the bee's knees. He is everything you would ever want from a quarterback if you are a fantasy wide receiver. Here's my problem with Josh Downs. Anthony Richardson, since he's come back, is averaging 27 pass attempts per game.
Oh,
he's averaging
more. Yeah.
He's averaging 14 completions per game.
Yeah.
In the 5 games that Richardson, Downs, and Pittman have all played together, Downs has a 22% target share. 22% of 27 passes is really, really low.
Fair.
It's like 5 or 6.
Okay.
It could go. I know what Jamie said this morning on Express is Surtain takes away Pittman, Downs sees a target share spike. That's possible.
You convinced me.
Okay. We're good. We're not going anywhere else.
I think that's sensible. And certainly you're right. Like if we're going to play the volume game, there's no question that Jameis Winston should throw the ball more than Anthony Richardson. But I don't think Richardson. I think Richardson will come. Well, I don't know with that win. Does he complete more than 14 passes? That's an awfully low number.
That's his average. It's not a projection. My projection is probably similar, but okay. I love this super flex. We've got 2 of my top 12 wide receivers against a quarterback that's not in my top 12. So would you play Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy, or Justin Herbert?
In a super flex, is it 6-point or 4-point? I don't know if that necessarily matters. I always like to defer to the quarterback here in super flex. So unless it's something like 4-point per passing touchdown, 1 point for every 50 yards, and it's full PPR, unless it's something like that, I'm still going to take Justin Herbert.
It doesn't have to go quite that far for me. 6-point, I agree with you completely. It's definitely Justin Herbert. If it's 4-point and it's full PPR, I'm starting Jerry Jeudy. We are going to start 2 for Jonathan, and now we're swinging on the pendulum all the way to the other side. Non-PPR, Dave.
Okay.
Malik Neighbors, Jordan Addison, Jalen Waddle, James Cook.
Neighbors is out. Waddle is out. I will take Cook and Addison as my 2 here.
I agree with Dave.
I can't believe we seem to be agreeing a lot. And when we're not agreeing, you're making really smart sense about the players that we're talking about. It's
Thanks,
great
Dave.
when Azer's not here.
Did you make sure Adam go to his daughter's dance? No, of course he made that choice on his own because he's a wonderful dad. Full PPR, T. Higgins, Khalil Shakir, Jacoby Myers, A.J. Brown, DK, need 3. Okay. So we got to sit 2. I'm sitting Shakir for sure. Dave's sitting DK for sure. It's that easy, right?
For sure. And for me, it's Higgins, Myers, and A.J. Brown.
Yep, we agree. Man, this is going to be a great day. Start 1 of Sincere McCormick, Breece Hall, or DeAndre Swift. Swift with the Monday night game, the questionable tag, but says that he's going to be okay. That's worked out great for us all year.
I'm gonna roll with Breece Hall. I think he's my favorite of these 3. I want to go with McCormick. I really want to buy into him, man, because just fresh blood. Definitely has shown us some good stuff on film, but Alexander Madison's back. We know that McCormick is not a 3-down player. Not that Breece Hall is going to be a 3-down player, but he's got a shot to at least get good touch volume and high value targets and touches. I think he's the right answer here.
Well, and I think if you just wanted to say nothing else, Breece is facing Jacksonville. I'm making this change. I actually have Swift ahead of Breece, but that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to put Breece ahead of Swift. Oh, good. I like it when we dig deep as well, Dave. So you got to start Sean Tucker. We think Bucky's back, or Gus Bus.
Yeah. Yikes, Cameron.
We've got to start one of these guys, Dave. It's a deep league. We're digging deep.
We can't get. There's no way Sincere McCormick is still out.
No, for sure.
I would take him.
If he was, Cameron would pick him up.
Good Lord, Cameron. It's Gus Edwards.
I do have Gus higher. I don't like it. I want to say Sean Tucker, just because Gus probably needs a carry from the 1-yard line to score double-digit fantasy points this week. Sure. Sean Tucker could get a carry from anywhere on the field and score double-digit fantasy points.
Right, but we don't know if Sean Tucker is going to get a carry anywhere.
No, we don't. Okay, we've got sit 1, Jeudy, Lamb, Addison.
I will sit. I think I'm probably going to end up sitting Lamb if it's non-PPR and Jeudy if it's full PPR. And Jeudy normally must start the way that he's been rolling, but the weather is spooking me a little bit in Cincinnati, in Cleveland. So I'm going to pass on Jeudy if it's that.
And that's what's really happened with that situation is the weather spooked me on Jameis, but the fact that there's no Tillman or Njoku has driven the target share high enough up for the 2 pass catchers that I've not been spooked off the wide receivers. I just don't think Jameis is going to have a game where he throws for 180 yards, and those 2 might have 70% of the receiving yards. But I understand, the weather is not good. Marvin Harrison, DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, Chuba Hubbard, pick 2.
Chuba for sure. Neighbors with him if it's PPR. Non-PPR, it's tougher, man. Who's going to score a touchdown from Harrison?
I'm going DK.
Neighbors. It could be 0 for 3. But I think I'd probably lean into maybe I'd still stick with Neighbors and non-PPR.
I think DK is going to reward those of you that stick with him. I understand if you don't, but I think if you stick with him, you're going to get rewarded today. The targets have been there the last 2 weeks. I think there's a little bit of risk that JSN has a bad game because he's only had 12 targets in his last 2 games combined. Let's see. Speaking of JSN, here you go. JSN or Jacoby Myers, non-PPR. They both get worse.
Yeah, I'd go with Smith and Jigba over Myers in non-PPR. And I get what you're saying. And, one of the reasons that we can't thrust JSN into the top 12, for example, is because Zach Charbonnet, if he's playing, man, I love the way that he fits into what the Seattle offense is now. And I like that he's getting targets. And this should be what Seattle's offense should be moving forward. Like Ken Walker is a great talent, but he's just always trying to hit the home run. He's always got injury issues. Why not use him a little bit more sporadically and use Zach Charbonnet as your main back and your third down back in Seattle? That's what I would hope to see. And as long as Charbonnet is in there full time for Seattle, I think you do have to dial back expectations a little bit on JSN, but not so much that you start Jacoby over him.
So I did just see this post, and we've not talked much about the Dolphins yet today.
Okay.
We've had some Waddle questions, and we've basically just said sit him. But you like him more than I do. Yeah, the Dolphins do not have Teron Armstead.
I'm not even like a huge Waddle fan.
The Dolphins do not have Kendall Lamb today. The Dolphins are starting Patrick Paul and Jackson Carman at tackle today against the second best pass rush in the NFL. Are you reevaluating Tua?
What does that mean? That means Tua's going to get the ball out of his hands in like 1.5 seconds, I would guess, on 60% of his dropbacks.
So it's Achane Jonnu game.
It's going to be an Achane Jonnu game, and it almost certainly will not be a Jalen Waddle game, and that makes me want to further move down Jalen Waddle. And certainly it kills the upside for Waddle and Tyreek, because they're the kind of the secret sauce for how Miami did well with those guys 2 of the last 3 games is because teams played a lot more man. It's the Jets and the Patriots, division rivals. It's always a little bit different with division rivals, but they played a lot of man-to-man coverage, and they couldn't pressure Tua when he did hold on to the football for more than 1.5 seconds. But if we're down, like I can't believe not having Kendall Lamb is going to end up making a difference because he's a swing tackle to begin with. So 3rd string left tackle, waiver wire pickup at right tackle for the Dolphins. There's no question that Tua is going to get pressured a lot. I will have to rethink Tua as a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and you can count on me moving down both Tyreek and Waddle in my rankings.
And I've been the low guy on Tua, but he's moved up this week because Mahomes moved behind him and Jameis moved behind him. But I'm really going to have a hard time in one of my leagues choosing between Aaron Rodgers and Tua. Rodgers going up against Jacksonville, coming off of his 300-yard game. I may ask that to you and Jamie once Jamie gets here. We've got non-PPR, Breece Hall or DK Metcalf.
Breece. It's Breece for me.
I'm going to go Breece too. Hey, somebody says, hi, Dave.
Hey,
full PPR. Michael Sitman or sit DK or Keenan Allen?
It's sitting Pittman. Certainly we talked about just how many completions we should expect for Anthony Richardson. Now tack on Patrick Surtain in the game covering Pittman. Remember, Surtain typically lines up on the outside. Pittman almost always lines up on the outside. This is not going to be a matchup that will help Michael Pittman.
So am I crazy for starting Tony Pollard over AJ Brown in half PPR? And I think at the beginning of the week, we both would have said, no, you're not crazy. But Pollard is a little dinged up.
And AJ Brown is a little ticked off.
Squeaky wheel AJ Brown,
I think,
or Tony Pollard in half PPR?
I'll take AJ Brown.
I would start Pollard. Regardless, you're not crazy. Like, if that's the choice you want to make, I think it makes good sense. Would you start Bucky, who I know you don't like, Dave, or Jalen Waddle, who you're trying to move down further?
I would probably take the safe way with Waddle over Bucky. That is pending any other information that we hear or get between now and 12:55.
Look, you're just waiting to break this at like 12:50, right? 12:50.
No, I have no control over when I hear from my friends over there. So
Calvin Ridley or Adam Thielen. I'm not sure if you saw or not, but Adam Thielen showed up to today's game in a Randy Moss jersey. So
that's cool.
Whatever that's worth.
Well, we are all in Randy Moss's corner with what he's going through.
Yep.
And well wishes off to Moss. I will take, I think I have Ridley higher. Would you mind if I double check my rankings?
I have Adam
Count to 10, will you?
Thielen. Go right ahead. I have Adam Thielen 4 spots ahead of Calvin Ridley in full PPR. In non-PPR, I have Ridley 4 spots ahead of Thielen. And in half PPR, I've got a slight edge to Adam Thielen.
I will also go with Thielen over Ridley as per my rankings.
Excellent. I'm glad you were able to do that. Hey, man, thank you. Somebody in the chat just said something positive about the Dave and Heath show, and I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
Wow.
Okay, Mac. Downs, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr. have to sit 1.
Downs is probably going to be the one that I will sit.
Me too.
Yeah.
Goff or Tua. This is here you go, Dave. We're putting your rankings movement into action.
I think Jared Goff's going to. Do I really think he's going to throw it a lot?
Oh, I love causing this angst.
Dude, and this isn't even my fantasy team
issue.
Like, this is how much I care about trying to, like, get this right. That Texans secondary is so bad. Yeah, I think Tua is probably the safer play.
Ooh, I think this one will be easier then. If that one was so difficult, Tua or Jaden Daniels?
I will go with Jaden Daniels over Tua, but I had it that way to begin the week.
We've got a tight end question here. I clicked on the wrong one, but I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
Tucker Kraft or Cade Otton? And I'm just wondering, Dave, like, did you downgrade Tucker Kraft at all with Romeo Doubs coming back?
Yeah, I did a whole bunch of research on what's been the target distribution and the fantasy points per game when everybody's healthy in the passing game for the Packers. And the bottom line is that no one is really any good. If there is somebody that has a chance to be good, it's Jaden Reed because he's done it. But it's really the only reason his target volume has gone down. And this is when everybody's healthy. It's Reed, it's Dobbs, it's Watson, it's Kraft, it's Dontavian Wicks. You can forget about Wicks. He's probably not going to play very much. And I buy into the Seattle defense playing better over the last month. Witherspoon has been playing in the slot a lot more, and he's been great. And I wonder if he's going to be the reason why Jaden Reed has a rough game. Their outside corners, especially Reek Woolen. Man, Reek has had some bad plays over the past month or so. Does that help anybody? I don't know. I don't know if the opportunity will be there, but the bottom line is that I think Tucker Kraft does not get anywhere near the same type of target share that he's gotten before. I actually think Josh Jacobs could end up kind of taking a lot of work away just as he's done the last couple of weeks. So I do have Kraft move down. For example, Cade Otton, someone I'd start ahead of him.
This is a good question from Vanessa, and she's been a longtime friend of the show. So
yeah,
thanks, Vanessa. 2 quarterbacks that we were much more excited about last week, I think. Will Levis or Russell Wilson? You have to start one of these guys, Dave.
Back-to-back in my rankings, I will take the upside of Will Levis against Cincinnati than Russell Wilson against Philadelphia.
They are back-to-back for me as well, but they're not in my top 24, so I don't think I can say they're back-to-back in my rankings. But I would take Will Levis. Pick 3 in PPR. Lamb, McConkey, Shakir, Waddle, Thielen, J-Mo. And he has Quentin Johnston, so if you want to wait on McConkey.
That's cool. So Lamb is a must. I feel like Shakir is a must. I don't love the drop-off from McConkey to Quentin Johnston. I'm going to play it safe and go with, do I have J-Mo higher than Thielen? I am checking. I am looking. I
have it J-Mo at 27.
Okay.
Shakir at 28. Thielen at 29.
Okay, so I've got Shakir at 23, Thielen at 24, and Jameson Williams at 33. That's in my overall rankings. That's not wide receiver rankings. Oh, wait a minute. It is wide receiver.
That is wide receiver. That'd be really high overall.
So, yeah, Shakir, Thielen, pair them with Lamb. Don't worry about the Chargers.
And I would actually start J-Mo and sit Thielen, but you get the main point is that we're definitely starting Lamb. We are definitely starting Shakir. You can choose. This is when, for the first time, we needed Adam to make the distinction.
Maybe we could roll with a poll and have the audience decide.
Half PPR, Hunter Henry or Stone Smart?
The game, Double H, Hunter Henry.
Jake Ferguson or Tucker Kraft?
Ferguson.
I would go with Henry for sure. I would actually go with Kraft, I think. Geno or Richardson? 4-point.
Anthony Richardson there.
In 4-point, I agree with you. I would also go with Anthony Richardson there. We need to pick 3 from Keegan. Bucky, Pacheco, Ladd, Brian Thomas Jr. You're risking it one way or the other, Dave.
You are. And so the risk for me, I would pass on Bucky, especially if it's full PPR. I'd take Pacheco, Brian Thomas Jr., and Ladd McConkey. And I would hope that I've got someone to use in case Ladd McConkey does not make it to the game against him.
Well, if he doesn't, then Bucky.
Well, what if neither of them make it?
Then you're really in trouble, and it's probably over anyway. Yeah. Like, just what was it that Jacob used to say at the beginning of the season? Like, it's all going to end anyway. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, or Nico Collins, Dave?
In a guillotine league, I believe I have Nico Collins ranked the highest of those 3. Tyreek is now officially the lowest.
I agree. I would go Nico, then Justin Jefferson.
My rankings. I might have a hard time keeping Tua ahead of Goff, Heath. I don't know yet.
We can change it. Ooh, this is a tough one because I don't really like Jonathan Taylor this week against Denver. Do you like him or Breece Hall?
I think I have Taylor ahead of Hall in non-PPR. I would like to check it in full PPR. I am checking it in full PPR before I am wrecking it in full PPR. And I do have Taylor over Breece Hall in full PPR too. Do I like it? No. Am I sticking with it? Yeah.
I would go Taylor in both. I'm just checking here just to kind of reset what we talked about 35 minutes ago, because there's a lot of you here. I don't know how many likes there are. I don't even know how to see that. It's magic when Adam does that and tells us. So
maybe Shafee can tell us.
Shafee can tell us how many people are watching on YouTube, how many likes we have. We'll set a new goal. The worst weather of the day is in Cleveland. That over-under is down to 41. Dave and I both really liked Jameis at the beginning of the week. Now he and Mahomes are both high-end QB2s instead of low-end QB1s. We're still starting Jerry Jeudy. We're still starting Travis Kelce. I'm still okay with Elijah Moore as a number 3 wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins is a low-end number 3. And Xavier Worthy's probably going to need somebody to fall down. We have 375 likes. You guys could get us to 500 likes, and then we could answer some more questions. We're expecting Bucky Irving to play. We are currently expecting Ladd McConkey to play. Bucky's a borderline RB2. Ladd is a high-end wide receiver 3. Breece Hall is active. So if you're starting Isaiah Davis or Braylon Allen, get him out of your lineup. Breece Hall is a low-end number 2 running back, but we don't like him as much as Jonathan Taylor. We do like him more than the Buccaneers running backs now that we expect Bucky Irving to be back. Thomas just told me we're over 500 likes, so I can stop filibustering. Tight end news. Dave doesn't like any of the backup tight ends. I kind of like all of the backup tight ends. My favorite is Jordan Akins. Dave, if you need a streamer, go get Juwan Johnson. Ryan says he already liked the video. Marvin Harrison Jr. or Jalen Waddle?
I will go with Marvin Harrison Jr. over Waddle.
Tucker Kraft or Mark Andrews?
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, this was one where it was Kraft at the beginning, and it has become Andrews with Romeo Dobbs being back. Okay, Reed or Waddle?
I believe I have Reed higher. I really don't like either one. Let me double check. I think I should have Waddle higher. I do have Waddle higher.
I have Waddle one spot higher.
Waddle is my answer.
One spot higher. Juwan Johnson or Kyle Pitts?
Oh, man. Well, let's see. I didn't like Pitts before the season.
Uh-huh.
I trashed Pitts again over the weekend when that report from Bob McGinn came out about how scouts are just stunned at how poor he's been playing. So this seems like the appropriate week for Kyle Pitts to make me look terrible and to make the scouts look terrible and score a touchdown. My rankings say Juwan Johnson, but the cosmic forces of the universe will somehow bring the football to Kyle Pitts' hands against the Raiders.
I will add on top of that fire that I said on social media earlier this week that there are 5 streaming tight ends that I would start over Kyle Pitts. 3 of them weren't even starters for their own team last week. Would you start Tyrone Tracy or Rashad White? You got to start Tracy now, right?
I don't think you have to if it's full PPR because it would make sense for Rashad White to lock into decent target volume. You're taking a risk either way. Is it a little bit safer with Tracy? Yeah, it probably is, but it's going to be a terrible game script for him. There is some upside, and it might be a little bit more contingent upside than anything else with Rachaad White. But I do have White a spot ahead of Tracy. I'm just very, very bearish on the Giants and how they'll do against the Ravens defense coming off a bye and getting healthier, particularly along the defensive line, while the Giants offensive line has incurred more injuries.
So we got to help Ryan out here because he has a must-win game this week.
It's a
must-win. Half PPR.
When is it not a must-win?
Well,
week one was a must-win.
Every week before this week, probably?
No.
Like
week
everybody's
one,
got a must-win.
They are all must-wins. Come on.
Breece Hall or Sincere McCormick?
Breece.
I agree. Cade Otton or Stone Smart?
Cade.
Yeah, it's Cade, but I want it to be Stone. Ramondre or Sincere in half PPR?
I wish I had. I wish I had that confidence in Sincere McCormick ripping up this Falcons defense, getting 20 touches, scoring a touchdown, having a big game. But man, I can't get into it. Meanwhile, the Patriots, they're coming off of a bye. The Cardinals are coming off a game where they got absolutely ripped apart by Zach Charbonnet. I think there's a decent opportunity for game script to be favorable for Ramondre Stevenson. This is not the popular way to go, so call me a dweeb if you must. I will take Ramondre.
Dave, you dweeb. I would start Sincere McCormick. Be cool, like Sincere. Running back help. Jalen Warren, Braylon Allen, or ETN, non-PPR. Good luck.
I will go with a non-PPR, huh? I think ETN is the most exciting of the three. Don't really love any of the three. This would be so much easier if Breece Hall wasn't active.
I would go with Jalen Warren. I'm hopeful that I think I saw some report speculating that it was just going to be all tank this week. That would be nice. Bucky, Mike Evans, Mooney, or Shakir. That's good options. I hate that you have to sit three of those guys because one of them is going to be really good on your bench.
Yeah.
I would start Mike Evans, Dave.
I would
PPR though.
I agree. Shakir's interesting, but it's non-PPR. That makes me like him less. Mooney's got great upside. He might be the one that ends up going off on your bench. But Mike Evans is the top dog in that Tampa offense. I would start him.
Maybe we should have addressed Zach Charbonnet earlier. After what he did last week, I didn't really think we'd have to once Ken Walker was ruled out. But someone's asking Charbonnet, Cooper, or Jordan Addison in full PPR. Zach Charbonnet is not in a flex conversation. No. Zach Charbonnet is a top 8 running back this week. Start Zach Charbonnet.
I'm with you.
Help! I need a flex and a tight end. Okay. Half PPR. Daniel. That was Daniel.
Oh, I thought that was you.
Half PPR.
I thought it was the iguana coming to get you.
Oh, he's in the roof this morning. Jacoby, Bucky, Devontae, Downs, or Swift. Flex 1.
I will flex Jacoby Myers.
I agree.
I don't think that that's a tough one either. I think that that's a pretty easy one.
Laporta, Ferguson, Ertz, Henry, or Pitts.
I'm good with Laporta.
I think I know I have Henry and Ertz ahead of Laporta. I'll go with Henry. But I also understand if you just don't want to make a roster move, that's okay too. Dave would like for Thomas to make a YouTube poll asking Tua or Goff because he wants somebody else to do his job for him.
No. I've made my decision. It's Tua a spot ahead of Goff, but I'm curious what the audience thinks.
Half PPR need 2. Mike Evans, Brian Robinson, David Montgomery, Breece Hall, A.J. Brown.
Wow, this is tough. Wow. This is one where I think A.J. Brown. This is one where I think Mike Evans is out. I think Breece is an easy out. So now I need 2 from A.J. Brown, Brian Robinson, and David Montgomery. In a half PPR, I think I'm going to take the running backs. Montgomery and Brian Robinson would be my picks.
So I am going to agree with you, but I'm going to disagree with you on the guys we're sitting in the order of them because I would definitely start Mike Evans over A.J. Brown in all formats. But I agree with you on this answer. Those 2 running backs are the right answer. Montgomery could just be a monster again. Pick 2 in PPR. This is what I get, Dave, because I say everybody's starting Zach Charbonnet at running back, and then you get a question like this: Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, or Chuba Hubbard? Who are you sitting?
This is going to drive Lindsay crazy because at the beginning of the year, Kamara. This is a hard question at the beginning of the year because Kamara is a must start. Kamara's the sit. I'm starting Charbonnet. Charbonnet is like 7th in my rankings. Chuba Hubbard's top 12-ish, and Alvin Kamara's behind them.
So I think there's a really big difference because it's full PPR. I'm going to go with Kamara. I have him projected for several more catches than Hubbard. I would sit Chuba, but I can't. Like I understand what you're saying too. Like it's been bad for Kamara recently. Tank Bigsby over Bucky Irving.
No, I've got Irving over Bigsby. So if you've got to make that choice, here's the move you make is, especially in a 10-team league for Ernesto, you can drop Bigsby and pick up somebody to replace Bucky in case he's out. But if Bucky plays, I will take that roll of the dice over Bigsby. Bigsby playing against the Jets and splitting with Travis Etienne.
Somebody just said pick 5. I'm not clicking on that. T. Higgins or Jerry Jeudy?
T. Higgins, especially with the weather now in Cleveland being what it is.
I'm sticking with Jerry Jeudy. I think he'll be okay, but I
You've
probably wouldn't
stuck with
say
him.
that.
You've stuck with him for the last 3 or 4 weeks. You were ahead of the curve on him.
PPR flex: Ladd, McConkey, Rashad White, or James Cook?
Cook's the safe-ish answer. Might be different if we knew that Ladd McConkey was for sure going to play. And maybe if you wanted to in a full PPR, that the Cook plays at 4:00. If Ladd McConkey's active, you want to start McConkey over Cook? I wouldn't hate that.
I would go with Cook. DK or Downs?
DK.
Yes, I agree. We got to start.
You talked me out of Josh Downs.
DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, Sincere McCormick, Mark Andrews.
This is risky. I think I'm going to go with Mark Andrews and DK Metcalf.
So I think I'm going to go with DK Metcalf and Sincere McCormick.
You really love Sincere McCormick.
I just don't like a low-end RB2 or high-end flex at running back scores 11 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
A tight end that scores 11 fantasy points is like a top 5 guy.
Yeah.
It's just a big difference between positions, I think. Oh, here's a good one. Dalton Kincaid's back. We haven't talked about him yet.
We have.
And Dalton Schultz is going to be playing without Cade Stover today because Cade Stover had an emergency appendectomy last night.
Oh, I did not know that.
And so Dalton Kincaid or Dalton Schultz?
Well, my rankings say Kincaid because I want the tight end that's going to play in the higher scoring matchup. And I think that the Bills game is going to be higher scoring than Dolphins Texans.
I think that's true too. I wish Dalton Kincaid had done like anything, but I do still have him ahead of Dalton Schultz. So Andrews or Otten?
Andrews over Cade Otten.
Got a lot of tight end questions.
Sure. I believe we've got the poll up. Goff versus Tua.
Okay, happy Sunday to you, Gregory. Waddle, Ridley, or Watson?
And you need one?
One.
I will take Calvin Ridley.
I will also take Calvin Ridley. It'd be nice if he had a good day for us today. Sit one. JSN, Jacoby Myers, CeeDee Lamb, Brian Thomas Jr., and Jordan Addison.
And I got to sit one of these guys, huh? And we don't know the format. First of all, JSN and BTJ are totally in. I think if it's non-PPR, Myers might be the odd man out either way. Yeah, I'll take CeeDee Lamb as the third guy.
And I am sitting JSN, regardless of format. Najee or Pollard? Pollard does have the ankle injury, is active and going to play. We're looking non-PPR.
I will go with Pollard over Najee.
I will as well. I'm very, very worried. Thomas says 52% are going for Jared Goff over Tua with 8% of the vote reporting. I don't know he knows how many people are going to vote, but that's a neat trick. Will Trey McBride finally get a real touchdown today?
Nope. I think he's going to go until week 18. He will score a touchdown in week number 18. But it doesn't mean that he's not going to get 11 catches for 92 yards.
This has to be the greatest touchdown regression matchup in NFL history because Hunter Henry has 58 catches this year and 1 touchdown. They have 138 catches between the two of them and 1 receiving touchdown. I think they should both score. Let's make it happen. Pick 2, Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, Nick Westbrook, Akina. Speaking of, like, this was your guy, Dave.
Yeah.
He was awesome for a month and a half. 1 bad game. Are you going back to him?
I kind of want to because of the matchup. And I think the Titans are going to have to throw a decent amount. I don't think they can win this game just with a big dose of Tony Pollard, even though they are playing against the Bengals. I think he's got more upside than both Ertz and Henry. So give me Hunter Henry and give me Nick Westbrook-Akine, especially since the whole world started NWI last week and he was a dud, but he still had some end zone targets. I think this week with everybody, there's going to be people that go, oh, of course, now he scores. So let's beat him to the punch. I'll start him over Ertz.
Would you start him over DeAndre Hopkins?
I don't think I'm there yet, but I would do it if I went up against Nakua and I had Kupp. And I need somebody who might give me some boom bust upside. Like Hopkins is pretty safe for like 4 for 80. It might be less than that because of the weather. But Westbrook-Akine might give you 4 PPR points, or he might give you 24 PPR points.
Terry McLaurin, I haven't said that name yet, or Darnell Mooney in non-PPR.
Yeah, McLaurin is a must start. Great opportunity against the Saints defense in the dome. Certainly would expect him to have another nice game.
Start 2, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, Zay Flowers.
I will sit. Thomas is in. I want to double check where I've got McConkey compared to Zay Flowers.
I think the problem is, and we don't have any news about, or we don't know from Manny, but like, what's your backup plan? Because if you don't have a good one, then you just start Thomas and Zay.
Okay. So yeah, that's probably the best way to go about it.
If you had Breece, if you had Josh Palmer, would you still just start?
Sure. Then I might pivot to the Chargers and sit Zay Flowers.
Here, this is not, that is a question. Thank you. No wonder Adam misclicks so often. Thankfully,
well, you got to scroll, stop, and then click.
Scroll, stop, click. If you could have given me select. Scroll, stop, select.
Okay, so I've never actually picked questions because I don't want to do what you do.
Pick one in non-PPR. A lot of non-PPR players playing today.
I'm telling you, a ton of people still play non-PPR. It's okay. It's okay.
I've got a couple of those leagues. I don't like them. Fantasy. They're terrible. JSN, Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, John Taylor, Bucky. Taylor. Pick one.
Brian Thomas Jr. is probably who I would pick.
I would go with London. I think especially without Max Crosby, Kirk Cousins may actually have a good game that helps nobody, except for people who start Drake London.
Or start Darnell Mooney.
Najee Harris or Rico Dowdle?
Rico.
Suave. Breece Hall or James Cook in non-PPR? What's up, Rosie?
Hey, I would go with James Cook over Breece. Once again, like if we knew for sure that Breece was A-okay and no question the lead guy for the Jets, so, dude, I'd rank him top 12. I don't know if he's going to be that.
Let me try to assuage your fears just a little bit.
Okay, I'm ready.
They didn't play him last week.
That's true.
They're not in the playoff race.
Unfortunately.
Like we've had a lot of people in the chat say, why are they playing Breece Hall? The only thing that really makes sense is that he's fine. You wouldn't play a guy hurt a week after sitting him out in a meaningless game that you're probably better off losing.
The counterpoint is
they're the Jets.
They're the Jets. He could risk getting hurt further. Or the Jets could say, listen, this guy wants to play and he's good, but we've also got these other young running backs. Let's give them a little bit more work. We just don't know what version of Breece Hall we're going to get. I talked about this at the very beginning of this stream, and I posted about it on X. if he gets 14 touches, he should be good for 14 PPR points. But I don't think he can get much more than that. 14 PPR points is pretty good. Maybe he should be a little bit higher than a low end number 2 running back.
I will share a fear that I have with you guys, because in the Dynasty League against Jamie, that he's going to come on here and try to reverse jinx his way to victory in just a little bit. I am starting Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams.
Oh, man.
In another playoff game, I am starting Aaron Rodgers. In another playoff game, I am starting Breece Hall. And I said it, like, it makes sense because I said it for a month and a half this year on our buy low, sell high show on Wednesday. Go get the Jets. They get Jacksonville and other good matchups coming. And so I've got the Jets and they're facing Jacksonville. And man, I feel like it could all blow up in my face. Good evening from Germany.
Hey.
Can you give us a German greeting, Dave?
I don't know. I would really embarrass myself.
My wife was born. Is it Guten Tag?
I think so.
My wife was born in Germany. Need one wide receiver and one flex spot. Brian Robinson Jr., Bucky, Jacoby, and Waddle.
Jacoby's my receiver. Brian Robinson is my flex.
I agree 100% with Dave. We have been on the same page. Okay, I'm down like Jamie thanks to the 49ers. Need a flex.
Imagine how the Niners feel.
What's that?
Just imagine.
Well, Jamie is actually down because he started all the Rams. But yes, need a flex in full PPR, MVS, Pop Douglas, Josh Palmer, Rashad Bateman, Jerome Ford, or McLaughlin. I think it's McLaughlin. So I think I want to rule out the early players here, Dave. Because I want to take a chance.
Every single one of these guys.
I want to take a chance that Ladd is out. Because if he is, Josh Palmer's the right choice.
Agreed.
So who else is playing after? You know what I do?
Douglas is. Bateman is not. Is that right?
I would play Josh Palmer if Ladd is out, and I would play McLaughlin if Ladd plays.
There was research I've been meaning to do. Maybe when Jamie gets here, I can get a few minutes to do it. See where the Colts have been weakest against the run when Buckner and Stewart are healthy. Because Sean Payton kind of shed some light on this last week. They're going to use their running backs based on what their perceived weakness of their opponents is. And we get the same data that coaches get. We get the same film that the coaches get. And if we can figure out that Rubik's Cube, we can be a step ahead with the Broncos.
You could be the lucky fantasy manager that starts someone who has 12 carries for 46 yards. I found the iguana. Man, I wish you would. I know where the iguana is. This is not like Where's Waldo. I need to get rid of the iguana. Sit one between Bijan, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, or Zach Charbonnet.
I love all these guys. I think Conner is the sit.
I agree, Dave. I think we are very close to getting Jamie in the room. So that's exciting. Right. Need two. Darnell Mooney, Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, or Jalen Waddle?
Lamb and Mooney, please.
So I'm going to go Lamb, and I think I'm going to go Neighbors. In full PPR, yes. I will go Neighbors. Darnold or Love?
Sam Darnold.
100%.
That's names that we have not had yet this morning, and he is one of the easiest guys to start this week.
Worthy, Downs, Metcalf, or Mooney?
Mooney.
You run a great show. So many more lightning rounds. Great job, Dave. Full PPR, Breece or Elijah Moore? I think we just run. I didn't see the so many more lightning rounds part. We do
need to have more lightning rounds for sure.
This whole thing's been a lightning round.
We could go faster.
Breece or Elijah?
We should absolutely go faster in about 10 minutes.
Breece or Elijah?
I will take Breece over Elijah.
Okay. SOS.
Despite your great argument for Elijah.
1 in half PPR. Sit one. Achane, Charbonnet, Connor, or Chuba?
I think Hubbard is who I have ranked the lowest of this group.
I would sit Connor, but you are definitely sitting. So I've been told that Jamie is officially here. I'm going to bring Jamie into the room. Jamie's in the room where
What
he
room is
terrified
it?
Adam, and now he's leaving. I'm going to remove him. We're back, Dave.
Thanks for coming, Jamie. We appreciate it, man.
That was great. I got cupped on Thursday. Would you go with Ladd or JMO in a shootout?
I would go with if McConkey's playing, I'm starting him, and they both are in the late games. So if McConkey's active, you start him. If he's not, you go to Jameson.
I am going with JMO for sure. Tracy, McConkey, DJ Moore need 2.
This is another one where I would plan on the receivers, and I would try and have an emergency backup in case McConkey does not play.
I am playing Tracy and DJ Moore. I think I'm kind of feeling like I'm out on Ladd. I was the guy who wasn't sure about ranking him this morning, so that makes sure. Okay, again, another situation, and you just might be in a 10-team league, or you might just have 2 of my top 5 running backs and 2 of my top 5 wide receivers. But Cortland Sutton's my number 7 wide receiver, and Zach Charbonnet is my number 7 running back. The fact that you're choosing between both of them, Ryan, makes me very angry at you because I don't have any teams that good today. I would start Charbonnet over Sutton.
I would too, but I would also really look over that lineup again and make sure that there isn't somebody worse in there that's starting. I would want to get both Sutton and Charbonnet in my lineup.
Jamie, what's up?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can see
Hey.
you. Man, you do not know how much money I would pay like right now. If I could just Zelle somebody $1,000 to like 20 minutes from now, sneak into that room and scare you. I think Adam would probably pay me back. But I want to get
There's a difference, though. There's a difference. See, Adam had both headphones on. I got one ear ready to go, so I'm always ready. In this.
Well, all you got to do is just turn around and lock the door, and you're guaranteed.
Well, see, I knew Adam wouldn't lock the door in this room, so that's why I did it that way.
Yeah, because he's not thinking like that. Did you lock the door?
Of course.
I got a couple quick questions for you, Jamie, about things we've talked about. Bucky Irving, we're expecting to play later. Ladd, we're expecting to play later. Are you viewing these guys only start if you have a great backup plan, or you feel confident?
I'm nervous, more so about Bucky than I am about Ladd, just because I think you can hopefully find a replacement for Ladd a little easier than if you're going to go all in on Bucky Irving. So if you have the Bucks running backs together, I still like Rachaad White better this week just because I'm a little bit more confident in his situation, and they're both going to play. You could always try and see if Sean Tucker's available. The thing about the back injury is a little nerve wracking to me. So. They don't need him, to be honest with you. They love to have him. He's a superstar, but with what they have in their backfield, the Chargers need Ladd McConkey at this point. They're in not a desperate situation. Both teams obviously need to win, but obviously the Chargers look like a mess right now offensively, and I think getting McConkey back would be huge. So if he can go, I feel a little confident in him. Bucky, not so much.
Breece Hall is active. Are you just fire him up as a starter?
Depends on who you have. You talked about this morning, what his, percentage of snaps was prior to getting hurt 2 games ago, and how much I think they're going to lean on the second guys. This is a weird one for me because he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. They have nothing to play for. His role is locked in. I don't think any new coach coming in is saying, oh, wow, Breece Hall is not going to be a part of this equation. We're going to lean on these 2 other running backs here. So it's a good sign that he wants to play, and hopefully he's able to put up good production. So I think he's a number 2 running back. I have basically the Bucks running backs and Breece Hall back to back. So low 20s, not a lot of confidence in Breece Hall, but obviously if you have him, you're going to want to play him. Hopefully it comes through with a strong performance.
I thought Heath's argument for Breece Hall was really good. Why would the Jets even bother playing him with nothing to play for if he's not close to 100% and capable of being effective and maybe being his old self on the field? And when he's had at least 12 touches, he's had at least 80 yards all but one time this season. Every time he's had 14 touches, he's had at least 80 yards this season. That's a decent floor. It's 9 of 12 games that a Jaguars opposing running back has had at least 14 touches and at least 14 PPR points. So I think that there's a good opportunity for Breece Hall to get a modest workload and modest fantasy points. I've moved him up. He's a solid RB2 now.
Jamie, Tua Tagovailoa will have Patrick Paul and Jackson Carman as his 2 starting tackles against the second best pass rush in the NFL. Are you downgrading any Dolphins because of the injuries at tackle?
No, he gets the ball out so quick. He's a little bit safer for me than most quarterbacks in the situation. So a little bit more concerned about the run game, just because it's been so non-existent. But they're so beat up defensively, the Texans. So this is an opportunity here, I think, for Tua to still be a top-end quarterback. I mean, he's been playing at an MVP level for the last month. No interceptions. He's been over 300 yards to his last 4 games. Just looking dialed in right now. And so I think this is an opportunity here for him to still be a top 10, if not top 5 quarterback.
Let's go rapid fire. We'll start with Ken. Oh, that was nice, Ken. Anyway, half PPR, Jerry Jeudy or Bucky Irving. We're all Jeudy, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Jamie, Dalton Kincaid or Juwan Johnson in half PPR?
I would drop Juwan Johnson and get Stone Smart and start him over both. But if you have to make a decision between these two, I would go with Dalton Kincaid.
I would too. But I disagree on the Smart part.
Dave, I said at the beginning of the show, oh, there we go. I don't know who he's calling an idiot.
No, me. I said I don't agree on the Smart part, but maybe it's because I'm
Oh, I see. No, I said I would start Jordan Akins, I would start Stone Smart, and I would start Brenton Strange all over Juwan Johnson. Those are my 3 favorite emergency tight ends. Dave, Jaden Reed he's playing Love. So Jaden Reed or Khalil Shakir?
Shakir.
You agree, Jamie?
Yeah, 100%.
We've got Breece Hall or James Cook. I think Dave's already answered this one. Jamie?
I would go with Breece Hall.
Dave, I'm just going to keep asking you Sincere McCormick until you can find the gumption to say that you want to start Sincere McCormick. Sincere McCormick or Najee Harris?
Najee Harris.
You agree, right, Jamie?
Yeah, I go Najee.
Yeah. It might be a lot different if Alexander Madison wasn't expected to play this week.
I don't think, well, I could be wrong, but I do believe it was insinuated earlier this week that Alexander Madison could have played last week. They just he's not their guy anymore.
I think they're ready to move on from Amir Abdullah. Sorry, Jamie, I should have told you to cover your ears before I said that. But Madison probably is their 3rd down running back, and he might seep into some of those carries from McCormick. Let's face it, McCormick is fun, but he's not experienced. And because of that uncertainty, and because, it's the Raiders, they're probably going to be trailing. I'm worried about the upside for McCormick.
I know we all like Jared Goff over Justin Herbert. I never have any idea who I like amongst defenses, so I'll let you guys answer. Jamie, Broncos or Cardinals?
I like the Broncos, but I love the Cardinals this week. I think coming off the recent stretch of games that they've had, the defense has really been let down by the offense more times than not. And this is a matchup where, while Drake May has played well, this is a Cardinals team that needs to get this win. Patriots on the road. I like the Cardinals quite a bit. I actually think the Colts are going to have some success moving the ball to the Broncos. So I like I like the Broncos defense, but I don't love them in this comparison.
Does the wind bother you out there in Denver? It's almost the same forecast as what's in Cleveland today.
It might blow Anthony Richardson's pass to his intended receiver.
No, it does not bother me in that stadium.
Dave, I did it. Sincere McCormick or Javonte Williams, half PPR?
Oh, you did do it. Yes, Sincere McCormick.
Excellent.
Yes.
Jamie says the best fantasy guys in the biz. Half PPR.
Of course he's going to say that. He works with us. He's
Nick
right there.
Westbrook, Jake Ferguson, or Sincere McCormick. Jamie, you first.
Oh, it's a different.
Westbrook, Keeney, Jake Ferguson, or Sincere McCormick in half PPR. Give me Sincere.
I will take Nick Westbrook Akine.
I am also going to go with Sincere. Calvin Ridley or DK Metcalf. He already started Cup, which doesn't feel great. I have DK higher. I know Dave prefers Ridley. What about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I'll go Ridley as well. This is a unbelievable spot based on the matchup against the Bengals. It's just a matter of can he come through, how healthy is Will Levis, but I don't really trust DK Metcalf at this point. So while I'm concerned about both, I'll take the matchup for Ridley.
Dig deep and find us a touchdown, Dave. Jerome Ford, Tyjae Spears, or Gus Edwards today?
I almost have to make this exact decision in one of my leagues where I'm in dire need of an RB2. I would go with Ford. I guess I'd go with Ford over Gus. Spears would be 3rd for me here.
Jamie,
why don't you go get Justice Hill, who's going to get some great garbage time run today against the Giants?
That's not a bad call.
He absolutely
Are we sure
might.
it's going to be him? Could it be Keaton Mitchell, or is Mitchell inactive?
I don't know.
No, I think it's going to be Justice Hill's day.
Jamie, I'm facing you in YOLO. Because Breece Hall's back, I'm going to have to sit one of Keenan Allen or Jordan Addison, and it's half PPR. So Dan asks for me, Keenan Allen or Jordan Addison. You can give Dan and I different answers if you'd like.
I would play Jordan Addison, and you're going to kill me in YOLO. So congratulations to you on advancing.
There it is.
I told him the reverse jinx was coming. So
Addison is the better touchdown play.
Dave, start 1 in PPR. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Waddle, or Jaden Reed?
It's Harrison.
We've got 15 minutes left until lock. You guys got all your lineups set?
No. In fact, I'm doing it now, and I can't get my hands on Justice Hill, and that's a real sentence that came out of my mouth. Do we have another running back? It's Ford, Vidal, Isaiah Davis, Sean Tucker, Cam Akers. I have to start one of these guys in one of my leagues.
I'd go Ford. The last time we saw them in bad weather in the Steelers game, the first one, Jameis threw 4 passes Ford caught 4 passes in that game. So maybe that's something, with no Njoku, Ford steps up this week. So I was debating in the Big Burger before Bucky Irving was back in, Justice Hill versus Jerome Ford. And I think Ford's not a bad desperation play.
Yay, Jamie is here. Maybe my question gets read now. Well, guess what? It did. Aaron Jones or Zach Charbonnet?
Charbonnet.
Jacoby Myers or Adam Thielen?
Jacoby Myers, but they're almost identical. We still don't know starting for the Raiders, right? A quarterback. They're taking this up to the wire.
Do not know.
I think it could just
if
be
only there was someone we knew who might be able to give us
mystery QB. Jamie, Sincere McCormick or DeAndre Hopkins in? You mentioned the weather. It's going to be windy. We don't know for sure if it's going to be wet yet, but Hopkins or Sincere?
What's the format?
Doesn't say.
Full PPR, I'd probably go Hopkins. Everything else, I'd go McCormick.
I'm trying to give you some time to set your lineups, Dave. I hope it's helping.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Shakir,
sure.
Neighbors.
There's a way to do this.
Shakir, Neighbors, or Waddle in half PPR, Jamie?
Shakir, Neighbors, or Waddle in half PPR. I'm going to go Shakir. I do think that Jalen Waddle has a good game here because of the situation in Houston and what they've been so bad against opposing receivers lately. But Shakir, I think in what should be a high-scoring game, hopefully he comes through.
So I think I have in half PPR Neighbors the highest, but Shakir's very close. I think what Dave said with the tackle news for the Dolphins was not that he was so much downgrading Tua, just that this meant that Tua was going to get the ball out even faster, which probably made it more likely that we got another Achane Jonnu game than both of the wide receivers being good. But that secondary has been really bad, so maybe they don't need very much time to get open. Hey, we've got somebody from Australia. Big fan, needs a flex. Wandale, Trey Tucker, Jalen McMillan, or Devon Vele?
Man, that's a hell of a group. I might take a chance on Tucker because the matchup is so good against the Falcons. But McMillan's coming off a 2-touchdown game. He's probably a little bit safer. Take the safer. I'll go McMillan.
I've got Vele the highest in full PPR, but I wouldn't I always love it when I can't look at my rankings because none of them are ranked. So you have to go to the projections and just kind of, sit 2 in full PPR. Bucky, Breece, Charbonnet, Chase Brown, Chuba. Wow, Hero RB was great this year. Sit Breece and Bucky?
Sit 2 of those. Yeah, I'm going to start Charbonnet. I'm going to start Brown. I'm going to start Chuba. Yep.
And then you like the Cardinals a lot. Do you like the Falcons? Is it Cardinals or Falcons?
I'd go the Cardinals. I mean, I do think the Falcons defense is in play, but at this, we don't know the quarterback for the Raiders. And in this case, lean toward talent, and the Cardinals defense is much more talented than the Falcons.
Oh, I love it when we get a tight end versus a wide receiver flex question. Jonnu or Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's starting McBride at tight end already.
I'd go with Jonnu.
Now, I just had a question from my kid. Don't you love that? He's going to a basketball game and he's going to the wrong gym. And I've got a question for Jamie. Need a wide receiver 3.5 PPR, Ridley, Waddle, Quentin Johnston.
I would go with Ridley. Again, looking at, you know what? No, I'm going to go Waddle. I like the setup for him quite a bit. Houston kid going back home. He's had 2 good games against the Texans in his career. I don't think the secondary is very good. And I trust his quarterback more than I do with Ridley. So those 2 are close, but give me Waddle over Ridley.
I would go Ridley over Waddle, but I do agree that those are close. We've got Kyler or Tua.
I didn't move Tua down that much.
Yeah, I go Tua.
I'm sticking with Tua.
I have Kyler, and then Pollard or McConkey.
Pollard, play it safe.
That is the safe play. Hey, how many likes are we at, Heath?
I don't know. I told you I didn't know how to see that. Thomas is going to tell us,
Maybe
though.
Shape can tell us, but we're kind of getting near that time where we should answer as many questions as possible, but I want to make sure that we've got enough likes to back it up.
I think Thomas is going to tell us we have plenty of likes. We got 10 minutes till lock. We've got 894 likes. Get us to 1,000, please. I'm just going to trust that you will. Justin Herbert or Bo Nix. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Nix was the one guy in my rankings that was like, he's been better than where I'm ranking him, but I couldn't ever get him up any higher in my rankings.
Yeah.
Herbert's not been near as good as where we've been ranking him, but he's facing Tampa Bay. So would you go with Herbert or Nix?
Nix.
I go with Nix. Now, you do have the luxury of making this decision, finding out Ladd McConkey's status. So they both play relatively the same time, but you'll have the inactives before that. I like Nix slightly better than Herbert. I actually like both better than the two quarterbacks in Cleveland just because of the weather. That's not how I started the week, but I'm nervous about Mahomes and I'm nervous about Winston. So in case in the case of these guys, McConkey may sway you, but I would start Nix.
Yeah, I've got Nix over Herbert as well. We're going to we haven't said this name enough today. Pacheco or Breece Hall. So we do have some concerns about Breece Hall, but we haven't really seen Isaiah Pacheco come back yet. Would you guys start Pacheco or Breece?
I have Breece.
Breece is easy in PPR. Half and on, it's a little closer because we haven't seen Breece Hall involved in the passing game lately. I do think that this is a Pacheco get-right game. This is weather, perfect to run the ball. Try and get your run game back on track. Tackle issues for the Chiefs still. Facing Myles Garrett, the middle of that defense for the Browns hasn't been the same. But in this case, I think you just take the higher ceiling, and the higher ceiling should be Breece Hall.
We've got an emergency. McBride or Bowers. Man, your league hates you. I would actually start Trey McBride.
I would too.
I would start McBride also, but the matchup is so good for Bowers. My God, the Falcons are so bad. But
yeah, but their safeties are okay. They might actually be able to cover Bowers.
Jamie, this is one that we thought we'd just be telling people, well, those are both top 12 guys. You just start them both. Don't think about it. But non-PPR, A.J. Brown or Breece Hall?
I'm going to go with the squeaky wheel situation here, and hopefully that A.J. Brown comes through. Usually lean running backs, understandably so, and Breece Hall can score a touchdown. But this could be a huge game for A.J. Brown, so hopefully he delivers.
Dave, can you help pick two in full PPR? Jacoby, Thielen, Zay, or Brian Thomas Jr.?
Thomas Jr. and Jacoby.
And I think we all agree on that. Sit one, Jamie. Pollard, Pacheco, Charbonnet. I know who it's not.
Sit Pacheco.
I would sit Pacheco. Pollard does have an ankle, but he's active. He's going to play. Should be fine.
He's got two ankles.
He thankfully has two. Sit one in full PPR, Dave. Nico, T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison Jr., Thielen. Sit one.
I will sit. It's Harrison for me as the sit.
I have Harrison behind Thielen as well. I almost said Harrison might be the upside play if you're behind, but Thielen's averaging 20 points a game in his last two. I don't know that Harrison has more upside than that. I'm going back to Dave because Jose loves your WWE references. Pollard, Pacheco, Cook, Dowdle, Tracy, Bucky. Sit one.
Well, you know something, brother. If you've got to sit one of these running backs, it's got to be Tyrone Tracy Jr. Tough matchup against that Ravens defense.
I would sit Pacheco. Jamie, Devontae Smith or Downs?
Downs. PPR. Half PPR, Devontae.
I will go with Devontae as well. We are full PPR, Jamie. Malik Neighbors, Rico Dowdle, or James Cook?
Rico Suave.
I agree. Dave, Bo Nix or Jordan Love?
Bo Nix.
I agree.
Woo.
And he has Cortland Sutton too. So yeah, we're gotta go win a playoff matchup. I like that. Help, says Kevin. Guillotine League. Life is on the line. Standard scoring. Brian Robinson, James Cook, David Montgomery, Zach Charbonnet, James Conner, Tony Pollard. Need two.
Man.
Robinson and Montgomery. Robinson and Charbonnet.
I will go Montgomery and Charbonnet.
So I asked a source who's close to the Raiders who their quarterback is going to be today, and the source has no idea.
That's not super helpful. Hi from South Africa. Hopkins, Thielen, Bucky, or Sincere. Pick one. Dave.
I will start Thielen of this group.
Same, Jamie?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Breece Hall, JSN, James Cook. We got to sit one of these in half PPR. Oof. Jamie.
I'll probably say Cook.
I think I'd sit Breece.
I think I would sit JSN. No, I will say, I'll say that I would sit Breece just so we give some semblance of an answer. Evans, Sutton, or Thielen in PPR, Jamie?
Sutton.
Sutton for me as well. I think Dave agrees too, right, Dave?
Yes, definitely. So.
Rank them in full PPR, Dave. Pollard, DK, or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Pollard, Harrison, Metcalf.
I would go the way you had him, Pollard, DK, Harrison. Jamie agrees with Dave. Nope, didn't mean to click on that one. Non-PPR, pick 2, Jamie. Dobbs, Quentin Johnston, Jalen Warren, Christian Watson.
I would go with Jalen Warren and Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, I would too. And I just make sure we all agree on this. Assuming Ladd is back, Quentin Johnston we like more than Josh Palmer, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Bucs defense. They're not only down Winfield, they're on their basically their 4th string safety. This is bad for the back end defense. Like I'm starting one league with McConkey, assuming he plays, Quentin Johnston, and Stone Smart. I think Justin Herbert can have a potential big day here.
Dave, Tank Dell, or Elijah Moore?
Moore.
We've got 4 minutes. Knicks or Caleb, Jamie?
Knicks.
Man, I've got Caleb, and I know there's no floor at all, but I just think about what happened the last time he played this defense, and he had a pair of 30-point games here recently. So I would go with Caleb, but I understand if people are worried about the floor. Dave, Charbonnet easy over Dowdle?
Yes, very.
Jamie, already started Jawan Jennings. Need a running back and a flex. St. Brown, Jacobs, Charbonnet, or Gibbs?
I mean, imagine being in this situation where you have these guys as fallback options. I don't know why you would have played Jennings or any of these guys, to be honest with you. I will go with Charbonnet and Jacobs.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do. I just saw somebody say, I can't believe the poll results. So now I need Thomas to tell me what the updated poll results are. Dave, are we going with Adam Thielen over Isaiah Pacheco in full PPR?
Definitely in full PPR.
And Matt voted. That's great. I hope you also liked Jamie, PPR flex, Elijah Moore, Downs, McCormick, or Laporta.
Give me Downs.
I am going to go with Elijah Moore. I said it earlier. Like my concern with Downs is the fact that Anthony Richardson's averaging 14 completions a game over his last 3 games. 1,400 votes and Jared Goff at 53 to 47% over Tua. So that's interesting. Pick 2, Dave. PPR, London, T. Higgins, Tony Pollard, Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin's in. Higgins is in.
So I would start London and Higgins. Jamie, break the tie.
I would go with McLaurin and Higgins.
McLaurin and Higgins. Pancakes, Lamb or Waddle, Jamie?
Lamb.
Easily Lamb for me. Dave, Dowdle or A.J. Brown and half PPR, and how did we get here?
I wouldn't recommend Lamb pancakes, by the way. I would go with A.J. Brown over Dowdle.
I would eat a sandwich of like a lamb burger with pancakes as the bun. That would be pretty great. Pick 1 for a flex spot, Jamie. Marvin Harrison, Jonnu, or Rashad White?
Jonnu feels like the safest of this group.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think so. And they're playing right now, right? So we wouldn't know. Like if Bucky was out, maybe I'd go with Rashad.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Dave, I think we answered this one, but full PPR, Bucky or Bigsby?
Bucky.
Yeah. Hopefully you have a backup plan just in case. Jamie, we downgraded Tucker Kraft a little bit, at least Dave and I did with Romeo Dobbs back, but would you start him or Mark Andrews?
Andrews.
I would also. Nope. Richardson or Winston?
Keep asking on the same one.
Got it
I like
twice.
Anthony Richardson today. I think he's going to be a surprise, one of the better quarterbacks this week.
I like Richardson as well.
I still have Winston 1 spot higher. Bucky or Chubb? We're not that low on Bucky, right?
No.
We haven't said Keenan Allen's name enough. Keenan or Najee in full PPR?
Keenan.
I think I do have Allen a little bit ahead of Najee. I do.
We've got Javonte Williams or Tank Bigsby?
Bigsby.
Bucky or Sincere?
Bucky.
I think
I don't have time to click him anymore. Bucky. Yeah, Bucky. Sincere, Bigsby, or Javonte?
Sincere.
Yeah, Sincere.
Sincere or Tyrone Tracy?
Tracy.
Yes.
Darnold or Jaden Daniels?
Jaden.
Agreed.
I would agree. Shakir or Higgins?
Higgins.
That's easily Higgins for me. Yeah, Dave? Oh, that was a T. I thought you were calling a timeout. I thought we were going rapid fire and you called a timeout.
T. Higgins.
Can't do that to a basketball
Neighbors or
coach,
Shakir?
Dave.
What happened?
You can't do that to a basketball coach.
Tee Heath up.
Neighbors or Shakir, Dave?
Shakir.
Montgomery or Myers, Jamie?
Montgomery.
Lineups have locked. Thomas says we can start wrapping up. You guys did a fantastic job. We answered a lot of questions. You guys are going to go win all of your leagues. Well, except, are we all playing each other in at least one playoff matchup?
Let's see. You guys are playing each other in the Draft-a-thon League. Heath and I are playing each other in YOLO. I'm playing Adam in FFT. So, yeah, I'm going to lose them all.
I don't think you're going to lose them all. Good luck to you both in all of your leagues where you're not playing me. I would wish Thomas good luck, but he's got a bye in all of our leagues. We'll talk to you guys tonight as you move on to the semifinals. Goodbye.